like I do right now. Don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall, my love. If you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall, my love. If you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
What's up, guys? Welcome to round 14 of AOR Season 14. Here we are today at Singapore, and alongside me is Justin.
Yeah, happy to be back. Really looking forward to that one. It was a great time last time, except for, as I tweeted about after the race, at the front, where the Flying Fin absolutely dominated, but hopefully it'll be a little bit closer this time. We don't know the weather forecast, of course, but as Seiyariu just informed me, it's apparently been very wet recently for the Xbox side of AOR, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, something to note for the guys in the chat, you guys who are watching, is the Flying Fin has an issue with his wheel at the moment, and that may hamper him. He's got, well, little to no force feedback, so that could very well affect him here. So we could see a different winner, maybe. Here's us hoping after the last couple of races.
Race, but a tough track too to lose your force feedback.
Oh, definitely. It's the longest one on the calendar, really, isn't it? Oh, the race will be probably about an hour long, and this has got the most corners as well out of any track on the calendar. So yeah, I've honestly, in my opinion, this is the hardest track on the calendar. So it's one of the tracks you really don't want any issues on, and yeah, so for him, he's going to struggle a lot, I'd imagine. Yeah. And well, he is the two-time reigning AOR champion, so he could pretty easily overcome it, I reckon.
Right, yeah, so even if it's a damage limitation for him, I imagine that means a podium position, so because that's the kind of standards that Finn has. So we'll see what he can do in qualifying. That should give us a pretty good indication of where he's at, despite the problems that he's having with his wheel. Does look like the FPS on the stream might be low, according to chat at the moment.
Ah, okay. Everything's fine from my end, but it
might
take a look at that.
It might sort itself out. Well, if you want to, actually, Stone is just finishing a hot lap. Actually, I do believe ESR Stone. Yeah, he's the first person to set a time 1:37.759 for the Sauber driver. So we should start to see more and more times coming in as we're already 4 minutes into the session. Quite a long out lap, obviously. So it's going to take a while for the times to start coming in. Jason97F1, who got his second podium of the season last time out in Monza, finished in third position. He does go about a tenth quicker than ESR Stone, 1:37.624 for Jason97F1. So he does manage to pop up a little bit higher in his Williams. More time starting to come in. CRL Hamilton slots in between, and there we go. The Flying Fin, despite the wheel issues, 1:37.256, 2/10 quicker than his brother, 4/10 quicker than Jason97F1.
Yeah, I think one of the times we were expecting for is like a mid 36, I reckon. So it's a decent banker so far from Finn, given his issues. But I'm expecting the guys to get well into the 36s for pole position anyway. So. Well, good banker lap, and I think we're going to have a look to see if Matiz, what sort of lap he's on. He's just started his lap, so I'm going to keep an eye on that as we go around, because I do expect him to be up there as well.
Yeah, you would certainly expect him to, in that McLaren, getting very close to the barrier, the FPS out of that corner. I'm going to go on board with him as he's heading down the DRS straight and into the hard braking zone at turn 7, and using all of the curb and then some at the exit, as you would expect him to. Hard on the brakes, possibly a bit of a lockup into turn 8, and then a short burst of acceleration before feeding the car through turn 9, getting very close to the barriers, as you would expect him to at the outside of the corner. And it looks like Dan is saying that the stream's looking better, so that is good confirmation from Dan. Thank you so much for that. And heading down the other side of the bridge, of course, for Singapore nowadays, and through the hairpin and onto the decently long straight, down towards turn 14 as we get into the third sector now. Finn still holding on to the top time, although it is very close, just 0.5 of a second, separating the Flying Fin from TRL Limitless. First down to 7th, just half a second, showing just how competitive it is over such a long lap. And boom, STSF1 Alonso pops in a 1:36.9, so those times already starting to tumble as Matiz tapping the barrier, actually, I think, at the exit of turn 18 as he was coming under the tunnel. Final couple of corners now as he accelerates towards the double left-hander of 22 and 23 to finish out the lap. Let's see if he can challenge STSF1 Alonso. Oh, no. And he's had his time invalidated, I think, actually.
Yeah, he ran wide at the final corner there, so I think all of his hard work has
gone
straight over to 3. I think he's pretty annoyed at that. wide just at the final corner, and all his hard work on that lap is completely ruined. So, well, I think again we're getting into that part of the session where they're all gearing up for their final attempts, as a lot of the guys are in the pits. I think Stone's still on a lap at the moment, and Evo, he's on a cool-down lap. But yeah, Stone is just going to be finishing up his lap. So let's see where he can get himself up to. He's P6 at the moment on a 37.7, and he boxes.
Oh, okie dokie. Well, he does have time to get out again. Still 4 minutes, 40 seconds remaining in the session. I would say he's got enough time to get in, change his tires, and head back out again. So it's not all over for him just yet. And in fact, is anyone out on track? Only Matiz is out on track, and he is rapidly trying to get back to the pits. Although SDS F1 Alonso as well. ESR Stone looks like he's left the session. And Alonso, I believe, is heading into the pits. He is taking this quite slowly. But it does look like people are starting to head out now.
Yep.
Yep, there goes the Mercedes. The Toro Rosso is out as well. TRL Limitless out on track at the moment. Jason 97 is back out to set another lap. Cedric NLR Evo as well. Flying Finn was the Mercedes that we saw leaving the garage as well. So he's heading out for another lap, obviously looking to beat his brother. And Kyle Mitchell as well is out. He has not set a time just yet. As has most of the field, in fact. 16 drivers, only 7 drivers have set a lap time so far. I think Jason is going to be the first one to set a lap. He just went through the bridge and around the hairpin, so he's approaching Sector 3. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the closest one. Yep, Flying Finn is behind him. Kyle Mitchell is actually not far behind Jason, so he'll probably back up a little bit. 2.5 minutes remaining in the session.
I've got Limitless actually just about to start his lap, so I'm gonna go on board with him because I'm not actually shown any of him at the moment in this qualifying session so far, but here we go, starting a lap. He's currently in P7 on a 37.7. He's actually the slowest of the guys who set laps at the moment, so through turn 1 there, holding it to the inside curve for turn 2, and they're flicking it back in for turn 3. Hard on the traction out turn 4, now into turn 5. Very tricky corner here, clipping the curb slightly on the inside, running it nicely out onto the curb, opening up his DRS, and then flying down through turn 6 and end of the first sector to 27.3. Not really sure what that means, but it looks like a fairly tidy first sector, so lockups here and there for him, but I think that might have just been spectator cam. Here another tricky left-hander, and it's very easy to just go wide into the wall there. Now for this very tricky part in the middle sector, taking it nicely there through that left-hander, taking as much grip as you can through that right-hander. And again, very difficult on the brakes here as he revs it out in 4th gear, down through this left-hander into 2nd gear. And a little bit of oversteer on the exit there. But coming up, finishing off the middle sector now, braking about 75 metres down to this right-hander. Not clipping that curb there, he chooses to miss that curb. And now through the final sector here, again, very difficult, that braking zone. And he's pushing himself out a little bit wide there, as he was on the throttle. Again, under the grandstand here, very tricky section as well. Through the final few corners now, it's important to get on the curbs as much as you can there. And now flat out through this final corner, just a downshift for him, and he's looking like he's going a little wide there, but no, he's kept it to 37.1, and he's up to P2.
Yeah, that's a very quick time. Displaces Finn for now. Of course, Finn is out on a lap, as is Jason 97 F1, as is Evo. Actually, I think Evo is trying to start a lap. Oh, it's going to be very close. He's got traffic ahead. CRL Hamilton ahead of him. So it's going to be very close. Just 25 seconds remaining. No, he's accelerating now towards the final couple of corners. He's going to do it with time to Sparrows. Getting worried for him, but he is just going to cross the line. So I think Evo is going to be the final driver to set a time. And we'll keep an eye on the other drivers who are out there right now. I'm not sure if Limitless is going to go for another one. I would imagine.
Finn has just snatched pole position by 3 thousandths off Alonso.
Wow, that is incredibly close between the two brothers. Wow, just 3 thousandths of a second. But Alonso is still out there. He can still beat that time. So we'll keep an eye on the Williams as well.
Yeah, he set a 27.0 in the first sector, and that was 3 tenths faster than Limitless. So if he can do the same sort of lap as Limitless did, he will definitely beat Finn's time at the moment and get himself on pole. But we'll have to see. He's just navigating his way through the very tricky middle sector, and the short shift there on the exit, coming up to finish the middle sector. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Hopefully that'll get it out of the way. And there he goes, finishing off the sector there. Lots of oversteer on the exit there. And let's see how he navigates his way through these final couple of corners.
And was that Matiz, or who's the traffic ahead? I actually can't see the name. I wasn't able to find them, but it does look like...
It does look like a McLaren, yeah.
Okay, it does... Oh, no, actually, I think it's a Red Bull, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a problem for him. I'm not seeing any sort of issues as he accelerates now towards the final couple of corners through the high-speed left-handers, keeping it in 6th gear, back end trying to step out a bit of opposite lock, and it's a 136.665. How about that? 3 thousandths. No, I think it's going to be 3 tenths between Alonso and Finn, and that may be the difference of having force feedback or not. Is it back?
Okay, and we're back now.
Oh.
So, yeah, I just fixed that just in time for the race.
Well done.
I don't think we missed much on qualifying, but I think Alonso did get himself pole position there.
Yeah, I can do a quick rundown. I took a picture. Alonso on pole, 36.665, 3 tenths ahead of the Flying Finn. Then comes Evo, Jason 97 F1 in 4th, CRL Hamilton 5th, Limitless in 6th, Lockdown in 7th, Stone in 8th, Mitchell in 9th, Cal in 10th. Lights are coming on now. We've got 5 lights here in Singapore. Engines revving, and we're away. And it looks like a good start for Alonso and his brother up at the front. It looks like Alonso's going to hold on to it. Yep, the Flying Finn not able to slot in alongside into the first corner. So Alonso's going to hold on to that lead ahead of the Flying Finn, Evo and Jason. So it is actually as they were. No changes of position. Kyle Mitchell did manage to get ahead of ESR Stone, but no changes of position in the top 7. Danny M7.
There's a crash there. It's Kyle Mitchell off.
Uh-oh, and that is not good for Kyle Mitchell. As I said, he was up a position, in fact, and oh yeah, he has lost both front wheels, so I would say that's his race over.
Oh, there's another crash there with the Red Bull.
Oh,
that's Seiyariu Hamilton and I think it was Simon.
Yep, and CRL Hamilton is right down in the back. He is down into 15th position, which again is essentially last now that Kyle Mitchell has been taken out of this race, so that is very unfortunate. CRL Hamilton started in 5th, all the way down to 15th now as a result of that. It is now still Alonso leading Finn, Evo, and Limitless has now gotten ahead of, it was Jason. Jason's actually lost a number of positions. He's down to 7th from 4th on the grid. And I believe EVR Reynolds as well just got an overtake done on Surprise Me. So it looks like Surprise Me having a bit of a struggle just inside the top 10 at the moment. So we've already lost one car, Kyle Mitchell, out of this race, and Seiyariu Hamilton way down at the back. Jason 97 F1 losing positions, but up the front, it's as they were on the grid.
Yeah, I think one guy to keep a look at is RJ Matiz. He's managed to gain 6 places. Same with Joe, same with Surprise. So yeah, they both had really good starts. They've taken advantage of a couple of guys who've had incidents there. And ooh, as RJ goes slightly wide, but he has his teammate ahead of him, and the other Dutchman of Cryo Lockdown maybe a little bit kind and let him go if RG's got a bit better pace. But at the moment, Lockdown's comfortably keeping up with Limitless at the moment, and I think Limitless is starting to close down to Evo and the Flying Finn ahead, but looks like to me Alonso is starting to gap Finn.
Yep, it is looking that way as we're now on the second lap, so still no DRS just yet. And he's...
That's Matiz past Lockdown.
Ooh, yeah, good spot there. Matiz now up into 5th position. That's 7 positions gained as he closes up now on Limitless. He made his way past his teammate nice and easy, and he can now focus on the Toro Rosso ahead of him and try and move himself up into 4th position. Again, lap 2, DRS activated next lap, and that gap between Alonso and Finn is growing. He is now well outside the DRS range. He was just outside of it earlier this lap, but already another 0.3 being added to that deficit. And it's a big gap. Evo not that far behind, though, so if Finn's not careful, he's going to have to worry about Evo behind.
Yeah, of course, he is dealing with those wheel issues, so it's pretty impressive for him to be where he is at the moment, driving on what is effectively something that feels completely different. So one thing to keep in mind, as always, is going to be strategy. Singapore, on this game anyway, is going to be a one-stop strategy for these guys. It's possible for it to go from ultra soft to super soft, but taking your ultras a little bit longer, or it's possible to try and undercut and pit early and go onto the soft tyres, as Alonso sets another fastest lap there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see which sort of strategies people go on, as RG sets the fastest lap there, beats Alonso. So again, he's another guy to keep an eye on. He's just on the back of Limitless at the moment, and they are going to have DRS this lap.
Yep, they sure are. And a few drivers into the pits, as viewers may have noticed. Jason97 F1, EVR Cal, and CRL Hamilton all have pitted, so they are all essentially a pit stop behind the rest of the field. Evo is getting pretty close, but is not able to pull alongside at the end of the DRS straight. That was his first attempt with the DRS, and it did get him very, very close. He is tucked underneath the gearbox of that Mercedes ahead of him, but he was not able to pull alongside in the braking zone. So he's going to have to follow behind for an entire lap, which is going to be hurting his tires, certainly, as they make their way now through Sector 2. And he will be able to close up a little down this straight, coming out of the hairpin after the bridge. But I doubt we're going to... Oh, God, he closes right up under braking, actually. Carried a little bit more speed into that hairpin, but it seems that he's suffered a little bit as a result at the exit of the corner. Really not able to pull alongside, but he is very close as they get into Sector 3 now, so we could see an overtake attempt in the DRS zone on lap 4. Yeah,
the only real overtaking opportunity is, well, not really in a DRS zone, is it? It's oh, it is, yeah, of course. There's just the run up through turn 6. That's the real only overtaking opportunity. All the other straights aren't quite long enough, and you can't quite get the exit that you need and gain the speed. But let's see if he can hold with him through the first sector. He's understeering a little bit as he goes, yeah, a little bit wide there. That's the dirty air kicking in, and that cost him 0.6 there, just running wide there. So I've noticed Limitless is a little bit of lag there during the previous laps. Let's hope he doesn't disconnect, but Lockdown has somehow tumbled his way down the field. He's now pit for some reason.
Yeah, he was missing part of his front wing
at one point.
Yeah, front right end plate was missing. He's getting a wing change in the pits now. And ESR Stone has just lost some positions as well too. Or is he out of the race? I'm showing an X next to ESR Stone. Is he actually in the race? Yeah, ESR Simon has left the session as well too. So possibly some issues potentially. But oh gosh, and actually Matiz just lost the position to Reynolds.
From what I can see, he's got all of his front wing intact. So yeah, Reynolds has been cutting his way through the field. Last lap he overtook one McLaren, and this lap he's overtaken the other one. So I think Matiz is struggling here. He seems to be very, very oversteery. So I think this may be a case of lack of practice or a setup that doesn't quite work around here. But well, I thought he was doing really well. You know, he gained a number of positions on the opening lap, but now, after they've all settled down, he seems to be falling backwards. And you really wouldn't expect EVR Reynolds to be overtaking someone like Matiz, who's second in the championship.
Oh man, and Reynolds is on the super softs though, right? Is he showing on super softs for you as well too?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so I could see how he's able to get past Matiz now after. I mean, these tires now are essentially 6 laps old after all of the qualifying laps and everything. So maybe that's just the super softs coming to Reynolds. But yeah, Matiz is certainly dropping back from the other ultra soft runners that are ahead of Reynolds. But yeah, this is definitely crunch time for EVR Reynolds in that Force India. He's closing in on OMG. It's Joe at quite a rate of knots here. He's even picked up the DRS, actually. Just snuck it at the last moment there. He's not going to be anywhere close enough to even think about overtaking on this particular occasion, but he does close up quite a bit. So he's definitely on the attack at the moment. So that'll be certainly one to watch. He's made his way past Matiz, and he's now eyeing that 5th place position of the Renault. Up at the front, it looks like Cedric is still hounding the Flying Finn, still very, very close between them. Limitless not seeming super comfortable at the moment, you have to say. I don't know if that's my lag. Again, I'm thousands of miles away from all of these guys, so you have to take some of what I say with a grain of salt, but it certainly looks like Limitless is not having the smoothest of races at the moment, but he is just about keeping up with this pair.
Yeah, I think it's important to note as well, the gap between Alonso and the Flying Finn hasn't really changed a whole lot over the last couple of laps. It seems to maybe be about a 10th in Alonso's favour every single lap, so now Finn's, I think, settled down and maybe getting used to how he's having to drive. The pace is starting to come for him, but I think at the moment, as Evo runs wide once again at that final corner there, I think at the moment Finn's pretty comfortable, but I mean the gap's growing ever so slightly and each lap, and at this point, if it keeps on like this, Alonso's going to have a pretty comfortable win. Okay,
and actually we're getting some people in chat who are saying that Finn actually fixed his wheel, so that is actually legitimate pace from STSF1 Alonso. He has really taken off, and as you mentioned, that gap really hasn't grown, so it could be a case of him saving those tires and just making sure. 3-second time penalty for cryo lockdown. I can actually read that text this time because the quality of my stream is good enough. So that's not good for him. He's already down in 13th after making that early pit stop. And it's not going well for him at the moment. That 3-second time penalty is really not going to help things, as it actually seems to me now.
Reynolds has made a mistake there. He's hit the wall at the end, the exit of that left-hander there. And he was closing onto the back of Joe there. He was really pushing hard, but now he's lost a place to Matiz, so he's going to have to do that overtake all over again now. I don't think he's picked up any wing damage, but
yeah, I don't see any.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate mistake for him.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, undone all of his hard work, and now put him behind the McLaren and still behind the Renault, of course. 3-second time penalty as well for CRL Hamilton. So it looks like we might be seeing a number of those as we're not even 6 laps into this race. We're just about 6 laps done out of 31. But of course, this is an extremely long race, really, really long laps, and lots of laps to complete as well, too. So we'll keep an eye on that battle with Reynolds, and we'll also keep an eye on that battle between Finn and Evo, as it appears that Evo really hasn't clawed back since that understeer moment a lap ago. He really hasn't made any sort of grounds on the Flying Finn, and actually the gap...
Got Matiz attacking Joe at the moment. Into turn 1, Matiz is going to go up the inside there, just slowed it down. I think he's just kept it on the track there. Joe, hasn't really fought that too hard, but Matiz back up to P5 now, after he lost those positions due to a mistake. But yeah, back up to P5 now, to 5.5 second gap from him to TRL Limitless. So unless he has some sort of amazing pace, or the guys ahead of him start battling, it might be difficult for him to get any more than P5 today.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant gap between 4th and 5th at the moment. It really does seem that things have spread out a bit. They've closed down a bit at the front, now less than 2.5 between Alonso and Finn, but again, we're not sure if that's a case of saving the tires, maybe saving the fuel. He might just be playing it safe. We'll have to see as that plays out. Oh, and Reynolds actually getting very close to the back of OMG It's Joe as they're heading in towards the bridge, and then through the hairpin they go, and it's very, very close for the Force India and the Renault, and I don't think it's going to be long enough for him to do anything. No, he's actually, the Renault pulling away ever so slightly on the straight, so he's going to have to sit behind for a little bit longer. Those Super Softs clearly feeling much better than the Ultra Softs are, as you would expect at this stage of the race. But unfortunately, due to the nature of this track, there's just very little Reynolds can do about it, as he's just having to sit behind that squirming Renault through the final sector of this lap. And he's just so close. He's practically pushing the Renault through. You can see how much he's struggling. He may be diving into the pits here, potentially. No, he stays out for another lap. The Force India taking a much tighter inside line for that final couple of corners. He's going to try to round the outside. Can he be later on the brakes into turn 1? Yes, he is. EVR Reynolds now up into 4th, as a couple of drivers have hit. Alonso and Finn both in.
Yeah, I think they've both gone onto the soft tyre there, so it's going to be very interesting to see if the likes of Evo and Limitless stay out, stretch their ultras, and then go onto the super soft tyre towards the end. Although, on my point of view, Finn is on ultra softs himself, so I'll be very surprised if that's actually the case. I'm just going to check the race director. No, he is on softs. That's just a glitch, a visual glitch there. So he is actually on the soft tyre, not the ultra soft. And
yep,
he's going to be following his brother Alonso there.
Yep. Yep, and the gap's actually a little bit bigger, I think. No, it's more or less the same. Yeah, it's just over 2 seconds, the gap between the two of them as of right now. But they do have lots of clear air. There's a 14-second gap ahead of Alonso to the next car, which is actually Danny M7, who's still out on his first stint of Super Softs. And actually,
he's right behind Surprise,
he's right behind Surprise. And Surprise is right on the back now of OMG. It's Joe, and Joe is not that far off of Reynolds. So this is actually getting very close, and it looks like Matiz may be falling into the clutches. Yes, Matiz as well, falling into the clutches of EVR Reynolds. Those super softs really starting to come alive. And similarly for the softs on Surprise as well, they seem to be working very well for him. I imagine he's going to be looking to get by the Renault up ahead of him as quickly as possible. We may see the Renault come into the pits, though. Of course, everybody would have seen the two leaders coming into the pits. Let's see if the Renault... No, he stays out for a 9th lap in this race. Surprise Me carries a lot of speed through the final corner. He's going to try it up the inside at turn 1. Surely he's going to have the tire life to brake as late as he can, dive it up the inside. Yes, and that is P3 now for Surprise Me, as Limitless and Evo are into the pits.
Yeah, it looks like they're both on the soft tyre as well, so I'm very surprised no one's done anything different and gone onto the super softs, because in the AOR Oceania League earlier today, I think the person that won did the ultra soft super soft strategy, and Team Marduk, who did ultra soft, really struggled to keep any sort of pace towards the end of the race because of the tyre difference. So maybe Matiz has got nothing to lose here. Maybe he should just keep his, stay out, keep his ultra soft going, and then switch on to the supers just to see if anything comes of it.
And Evo, I'm showing the glitch as well, where it says he's showing ultra softs, but he is on softs. But he really hasn't lost any time as a result of staying out longer than Finn. He's right behind the current double 2-time champion. And yeah, he stayed out a little bit longer on those ultra softs, and it really didn't seem to lose him any sort of time. So it's actually worked out pretty well here for Evo. He's on the same tire compound as the Flying Finn, but they are ever so slightly healthier than the ones on that Mercedes up ahead of him. Matiz now currently leads, as he has yet to come into the pits on those ultra softs. He's actually rounding the final couple of corners before the pit entrance, and it does seem like he is squirming quite a bit and hesitant to get on the power. Will we see him come into the pits? No, he stays out for a 10th lap here on this set of ultra softs. These are now 11 lap old tires or so. And he's going to stay out once again. But Reynolds has not really closed in all that much, actually, since I last checked. So still just over or just under 2 seconds gap between Matiz and Reynolds. Surprised Me just kind of peeking in the background there. And Danny M7 actually going well still on those super softs in 4th at the moment. And looks like Joe did finally go into the pits, though.
Yeah, he went onto the soft tyre there, so no one's really doing anything different. Everyone's playing it very safe, going onto the soft tyre, making sure they can easily get to the end here. I think the only person who's on the supers at the moment is Cyril Hamilton. Got locked down, but I don't think he's driving. I think he's must have paused his game or he's lagged out. Same with Simon. But of course we've got Reynolds as well on his supers, but he started on those. But everyone who seems to pit has gone on to a set of the soft tyres and played it very safe.
Yeah. Aside from, as you said, Matiz, Reynolds, and Danny M7, everybody in the top 11 is on soft tires at the moment. So it looks like, as you said, everybody's playing it safe. I'm surprised we're not seeing a bit more gambling, but that's the way it is sometimes. And maybe it's because of the nature of Singapore. People are just worried about gambling. I know it's big in that part of the world, but gambling with your race probably isn't something that people want to do. And is that a yellow flag in Sector 2?
And that's Cal, who has retired there.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure why. He doesn't seem to have any noticeable damage there. So, well, he's pulled off anyway, and that's probably what the yellow flag is.
Yeah. It looks like it. It's going to drop him down. 3-second time penalty for Matiz, who I'm actually on board with now.
He just cut the final corner there.
Oh.
just ever so slightly, that's really going to hurt him because, well, there's the group ahead of him that he was hoping to chase down, and that, well, it's putting 3 seconds further back, so he's going to have to overtake those guys and then pull 3 seconds if he wants to get past them. So
what's the time loss for a pit stop here? Probably 21, 22 seconds, right?
Yeah, probably quite a lot. So, well, at the moment, Matisse has got to worry about Reynolds behind him, because at the moment, unless Reynolds has himself a penalty, he will drop behind Reynolds. So
yeah, good point.
Yeah, I expect Matisse to pit soon and go on to supers. He does seem to really be struggling at the moment and doesn't seem to have a whole lot of lateral grip in the corners.
Yeah, he seemed to be struggling a couple laps ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see which tire compound he got. It would be nice to see somebody try something a little bit different. And at the moment, it's not working out too badly. He would feed out in between Limitless and Joe, but he would be on a softer and healthier set of tires compared to the cars in front of him. And there's a yellow flag in Sector 1 now.
That was Cyril Hamilton retiring from the session for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Let's have a look on him. He's got no front wing. So
oh, okay. Yep, that's
that will be why.
Yeah, that's a valid reason to retire from the race without question. Matisse,
I think one thing to note is Flying Finn is 4 seconds behind Alonso. In the last couple of laps, he's lost 2 seconds to his teammate, and I think this may be the result of Evo completely hassling him and Finn looking behind rather than looking ahead. Mm-hmm. And I know, especially on Singapore, if you've got someone breathing down your neck, it's so difficult to push because, you know, one mistake is going to cost you a position or two. So I think Finn is just going to be driving defensively at the moment. He knows he's probably not quite got the pace that his brother has, and probably isn't going to catch him. So he's just looking behind him at the moment, and the gap is now 4.2 seconds. Matisse is still staying out there on his set of ultras for a 12th lap there. So yeah, he's really stretched them out, and I really do expect him to go on to supers pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes in at the end of 12, that means he's going to have 12 laps on heavy fuel ultra softs at Singapore, compared to 19 laps of low fuel on the super softs. I mean, I would certainly think that would work. And I mean, shockingly, he's keeping ahead of Reynolds. Reynolds still has a 2-second gap, and surprised me as well. Has now kind of gotten stuck behind Reynolds. It's a very, very small gap between the two of them. Clearly, the soft tires are working better than the super softs at this particular moment. But this is really working out in Matisse's favor, I think. And he's really not losing too much time. It's now just under 19 seconds to Limitless. It was only 19.5 seconds a lap ago. So he's not losing loads of time, and you know, the more laps he does on these ultra softs, the more he can push on the super softs when he inevitably does go on the red tires. And I think, surprised me, it might actually be taking Reynolds pretty soon here, because that Force India, it looks like he is struggling through the very slow twisty corners in Sector 3. Into the final couple of corners they go. Lots of understeer for the Mercedes, but he's still going to gain time on the Force India. It could be an attempt here into turn 1. No, I think he's going to be a bit too far back. Might want to stay on board with them, though, unless there's something closer happening right now. Because and actually, Danny is right behind them as well. So there's a 3-way battle going on at the moment for second position. I'm going to go on board with Danny and see what Surprise Me can do here. He's going to need a good exit, as much slipstream and all of that DRS as he can manage. And is he going to get the inside line heading down towards...
Oh, he's gone for it.
Oh,
it's contact.
Yeah, a bit of contact. Reynolds is off the circuit. It looks like Surprise Me with the better exit is going to take the position. That's going to allow Danny up 7.
Oh, more contact.
He switches to the inside. It looks like Danny is actually going to come out as the winner and all of that. He takes third position. No, it's still side by side. Oh, that is tight stuff between the Toro Rosso and the Mercedes. Still side by side as the Mercedes braking later. Bit of a nudge, and Danny is back down into 4th position. So it's exactly as they were at the start of this lap. Oh, bit of a slide from Danny M7 as well. He's drifting it in style across the bridge, and that is they're spread out a little bit. We can breathe again. Wow, that was incredible stuff for a second.
Yeah, I think all this contact might be the result of Surprise lagging a little bit. He seems to be power sliding out of every corner, and that's usually a sign that he's lagging a little bit. So, well, it was a very, very tough race in there, but ultimately I don't think anyone got any damage, and yeah, nothing really happened there. It's given Matisse, though, an extra half a second, though, this lap, so I think he'll be pretty happy that they're battling behind.
Yeah.
Let's see if he comes into the pits, though. He finally does after 13 laps on qualified Ultra
Oh,
Softs. So.
oh wow, yeah, and it was actually a 16-second gap to Limitless as he was coming in. So yeah, those tires were definitely falling off. He only lost half a second on, I think it was lap 11 or 12, but then lost about 2 seconds on lap 13, I think, there. So that was definitely the right time. He's still going to come out ahead of OMG It's Joe without any sort of issues. And he'll even have a little clean air.
So I'm glad he hasn't gone onto the soft tyres there, because that would have been very, very pointless. But yeah, finally onto the supers, and now it's 8.5 seconds behind Limitless with well, half the race to go, basically. So you'd assume, given that Limitless is, I think, pit 5 or 6 laps ago, and that given Matiz is on a softer compound, he should be absolutely flying and closing him down very easily. Though he understeered into the wall. I saw that on my screen.
Yeah, I guess
maybe just getting used to the tyres. Maybe they need to warm up still, but I really do expect Matiz to close down Limitless very, very fast.
Yeah, I expect to see a fastest lap at the end of lap 15 from that McLaren driver. And I mean, you're more the racing driver than I am, so I'll ask you, in this sort of situation, do you push as hard as you can in order to catch him in as few laps as possible, or do you try to manage your tire life so that when you do catch him, you have enough left in your tires to actually make the overtake?
I think it's inevitable that he's going to catch him, or that he will be faster anyway. So I always had the view that you've got to at least make it to the end, right?
Right.
You can't burn your tyres out and then, in the next 2 laps, the last final 2 laps, just sliding around everywhere and lose all the time. So from my point of view, he's got to be looking after his tyres now, making sure they get to the end. But he has pit very, very late on his ultras. We've got Surprise looking up the inside of Reynolds here. Is he going to make the move into turn 1? Brakes late on the inside there, and he has made it. So Surprise into P1 now on his soft tyres. Reynolds takes a look at the inside up to turn 3 there, and they're still going to be side by side. And yeah, Surprise does look like he's lagging for me there, but
Same
yeah,
here.
Surprise has got the lead there.
Yep, and Danny's still just waiting behind. He is such a lurker, just waiting for something to happen between these two guys. Tried to make an optimistic move earlier, but it didn't quite work out for him. He is going to try it up the inside, though, on EVR Reynolds at the end of that straight and into turn 7. And it looks like he has gotten ahead of the Force India. Yeah, so Danny M7 takes what is essentially second position, but these guys still have to pit. These guys have still not been into the pits. Surprise, Danny, and Reynolds all started on these tires, and I believe they started outside the top 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they did. Reynolds started in 11th, Danny in 15th, Surprise in 16th. So yeah, these are fresh tires that all of these guys are on at the moment. They have not stopped. They're the only cars that have not stopped. And Alonso is actually finally starting to catch up with them. I think if I'd gone on board with him a little bit sooner, yeah, he can just about see Reynolds up ahead as he's coming out of turn 13. He could just about see that car ahead. So it's end of lap 15 now. I would presume if they're going to go into the Ultra Softs, they're going to be looking to do that when like maybe 18, 19, something like that. So we could see Alonso get held up potentially by that group of 3. Oh, Danny M7 with the 3-second time penalty. But we could see Alonso get held up potentially.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping they all pit as soon as he catches up to them. But yeah, back on with Matiz, he has actually closed the gap down from 10-point-something seconds to 7.7 seconds now. So he is really going for it at the moment.
Here we go. There it is. That's I said at the lap 15, fastest lap. Yeah, 140.8. He does it.
But yeah, I do hope that Matiz is keeping an eye on his tyre wear. He did leave it very late to pit, so maybe it's not a problem for him. But I do hope he'll be keeping an eye on his tyre wear at least. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be making sure I'd be calculating
he pitted on 13?
What percentage my tyres were doing, and then, yeah, lap 13, okay. The end of lap 13. So it should be pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
But he did lose a lot of pace on his ultras towards the end of the stint. So, yeah, my view, he should be calculating his tyre wear, making sure he can get to the end, and then driving accordingly and managing his pace, because he is going to catch Limitless regardless. He's getting 3 seconds in like 3 laps. So it's going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah. I mean, especially because 15 laps remaining at the end of this lap. We're just about at the halfway, just past the halfway point of this race now. So Matiz definitely has time on his side. and Limitless does not. It's a pretty big gap ahead of Limitless as well, too, so it does seem that Limitless is kind of falling behind that battle between Evo and Finn. Evo is still very close to Finn. I've been keeping an eye on that gap, but haven't really been watching the battle. But it is just under a second between the two of them. Evo is going to pick up the DRS here as they round out lap 16 to start lap 17. Surprise and Danny and Reynolds have all continued on once again. Alonso still seems to be about 4 seconds off of Surprise, so he's a couple seconds now off of Reynolds. Yeah, he's a couple seconds off Reynolds at the moment, and Matiz another fastest lap, 140.4 on those.
Gap's 5.5 seconds now. It was 7.5 last lap, so he's getting 2 seconds on Limitless. That's pretty crazy stuff.
Yep, he is closing in for sure. And yeah, as you mentioned, that gap between Finn and Alonso still quite large. I really don't see that battle resuming anytime soon. I think it's mainly going to be Finn versus Evo, Limitless versus Matiz. And then we'll have to see what happens with Surprise and Danny and Reynolds. I mean, they're going to come out behind Matiz, potentially right around where OMG It's Joe is. Especially because Joe, I presume, is going to be a little bit quicker than they are, because they are on such old tires at this point. Those guys up at the front, they've really got to be feeling that pain. So I think they're going to feed out possibly just behind Joe or just ahead, depending on Joe's pace. So we'll have to see what happens with those three. I don't think they're going to be podium contenders or anything like that, though. I think if Alonso continues doing what he's been doing all race long, it should be a fairly easy win for him. And then, yeah, I think Finn and Evo are going to continue battling. But, I mean, if Evo is waiting for Finn to make a mistake, then I think he's doing it wrong, because that's not going to happen with the Flying Finn.
Yeah, he'll be waiting a while. He'll probably be waiting all season. But it might be the case that he's content to sit behind, or maybe he's going for it as fast as he can, and this is all he can manage. That might very well be the case. Obviously, Finn's a very, very fast driver. It's not easy to keep up with him, so maybe Evo's just managing to hang on in the DRS. So he's only, well, he's 9/10 behind, so he's just in DRS range at the moment. But yeah, it doesn't seem like I can get close enough at the moment, which is fair enough. It's not an easy thing to do, but looks like Danny and Surprise are both pitted, and I do expect them to go onto Ultra Softs.
And Alonso's past Reynolds.
Soft,
he did not get held up at all. He just sliced his way right past that Force India, no problem. So yeah, he got lucky in that when he did catch this group, two of them peeled off and headed into the pits. So Reynolds, actually, who is on the Super Softs, is going to pit after Surprise, who was on the softs, and he's going to go till lap 18. But I mean, that was the lap that we said was maybe lap 18. So those guys going in a little bit earlier than we expected. But I mean, if those Ultra Softs can do 11 laps on heavy fuel, I would presume that they can do, in fact, more. They did more than that, because these guys also qualified on those tires. So I think I think they're going to be okay. But Reynolds is going to have the freshest Ultra Softs out of everybody. So. We'll have to keep an eye on him. He's been competitive in this race. He's been driving fairly well. Was involved in that scrap, some really good driving from all three of those guys. But I assume he's got to come in at this point. And is he actually holding up Finn? No, I think he's just outside the range where he would be affecting Finn. Yeah, and there he goes. So the Flying Finn can now continue to focus on his brother, who is ahead of him. But it is an almost 3-second gap between the two of them. So advantage Alonso as it stands right now.
So Reynolds has come into the pits, and on lap 1 he managed to get himself 2 stop-go penalties, so he's got himself, well, 5 seconds to wait there, and I guess he'll have 5 seconds added on at the end. He's also got 2 corner cutting penalties, as we've got Surprise, I think, attacking Joe into turn 1 there, and he's just managed to make that happen. So, on his fresh Ultra Softs, he's absolutely tearing through the field now. He's gained 10 places from his starting position. He's into P6, and
wow.
Well, Matiz is 9.5 seconds up the road. I think, well, that's quite close to the wall there, but I think this is all he can really hope for at the moment. But that's a pretty good result for him. He would have started right at the back and then up into P6. I think he could be happy with that.
Yep, and Reynolds, as a result of that penalty, has slotted into P11 with a pretty sizable gap to Jason 97F1, who is on old softs, though. So I do imagine he will be able to get himself into a points-paying position, which has got to be disappointing for Jason hot off the heels of his Monza podium, the Williams driver looks like he may actually fall outside of the points-paying positions towards the end of this race. I mean, yeah, there's going to be 12 laps to go for Jason when he crosses the start-finish line at the end of this lap, as he grazed the wall there as well too. It's really not going well for Jason at the moment, but yeah, it's just so unfortunate for him after such a fantastic result last time.
Yeah, he did pit as well at the end of lap 1 onto these set of soft tyres, so I think he'll do very well to get to the end on these. But yeah, it's not been the best race for him. He's obviously had that incident on the first lap, and he would have been a lot higher up, I think, probably in that scrap with Surprise, Danny and Reynolds. But yeah, he's doing what he can at the moment. All he could have done was pit it onto the softs and really tried it as Surprise as a 39.5. Wow.
I'm sure Matiz is a bit worried about that.
Yeah, it's 2 seconds Surprise has gained on Matiz actually in, I think, about half a lap.
Yep.
As well, Matiz is right behind Limitless now, so that might be why he's not quite got the same amount of pace.
Yeah, let's watch. Let's keep an eye on that actually, because that's going to be the one to watch. Evo's still. I mean, Evo at this point is just kind of. It feels like he's admiring the flying pin. He's almost like another spectator at this point, because it really does not seem like he's closing in and pulling alongside. Or, oh gosh, a big moment for Matiz. Holy crap! I'm sorry if I scared you there. Whoa, that was a big moment for Matiz coming out of turn 9, I believe that was. That's going to lose him some time to TRL Limitless for sure. And it looks like Limitless is really on the ragged edge. He really seems to be fighting that car. But Matiz, he did lose a little bit of time there. I think he can close that up, though, because, of course, Sector 3 is where these Super Softs are going to provide all of that extra mechanical grip by comparison to the older softs that are on that Toro Rosso ahead of him. So he can close that down. There's not going to be a lot of dirty air either because of the slow nature of these corners. So he can really get that McLaren tucked underneath the back of that Toro Rosso and potentially pick up the slipstream and DRS into turn 7 on the next lap here. And he is back within DRS range, about 0.8 between the two of them as they head through the final couple of corners. He is going to pick the DRS up here. 3-second time penalty for EVR Reynolds, just in case he didn't have enough time penalties already. Oh, and Limitless with some lag. I thought he went off the circuit. I apologize for getting, getting excited there. But Matiz is pretty close here, so we might see an overtake attempt.
Yeah, Stone gets himself a 3-second time penalty. The thing with that lag, it might make Matiz a little bit cautious to go anywhere near the back of Limitless. It's really frustrating when you're driving behind someone and they're lagging all over the pace, and you have got more pace in the car than them. Obviously, Matiz is on much fresher and softer tyres, so it's going to be very frustrating for him. I'm very surprised that he's managed to, I guess, not get any wing damage after his incident at this very spot last lap. Just kept it out the wall there. He looked very, very close from my point of view. But yeah, he's still going. You can see all the grip that he's got compared to Limitless through this section, really closing up. But it's just not going to be close enough into this hairpin.
Limitless is just, I mean, he's wringing the neck of that thing. He is doing absolutely everything he can. But I fear with 10 laps to go, if he looks like this, what is he going to look like come lap 31? Never mind 21. Because, yeah, it's only a matter of time before Matiz gets by. He is going to be cautious, I think, as you said. Oh, Limitless is miles off the apex there, heading into turn 16. It does a little bit better through 17. Now, underneath the grandstands, they go through the tunnel, and oh gosh, yeah, he is really struggling with those soft compound tires. I would not be surprised if he came into the pits a second time. He's got to be concerned about that, as the McLaren just follows him right through. He didn't even care about the dirty air. He just has so much more mechanical grip than the Toro Rosso. He's so close under braking into turn 1. I really think we're going to see an overtake attempt here. He's very, very close following through turn 3 as well. Not quite as good on the power coming out of turn 4, but hard onto the brakes, closing up once again. Lots of inside curve for the McLaren driver. DRS wide open. TRL Limitless defends to the right-hand side, but it's a left-hand corner at the end of this straight, so it is going to be advantage RG Matiz in the McLaren. He defends the inside line as well into the corner, up into P4, and with around an 8-second gap up ahead to Evo, and with 9 laps to go after this one is completed. So we'll keep an eye on that gap, but I think that might be a little optimistic, thinking that Matiz could catch Evo.
Yeah, maybe, unless Evo gets involved in battling with Finn, because he is right behind him at the moment. He's only 3/10 behind. Surely this is his best opportunity at the moment to get past Finn. He hasn't been this close in the entire race, I don't think, but he just sits behind at the moment. Evo's quite a passive driver. He'll wait until there's pretty much no possibility of contact, and he's right there. He doesn't really go for any sort of dive bombs. But interestingly, Finn has caught up with Alonso. I think the gap at one point was 4 seconds. It's now down to 2.6, 2.7. So I think Finn's got his head down. He's been plugging away, or maybe Alonso's just looking after his tyres, managing the gap. But something else also to note, behind Limitless is Surprise. He's only a second behind, and he's absolutely flying on those ultra soft tyres. I think Surprise is going to be right behind him next lap.
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah, he is really flying on those fresh ultras. You can see the way he just attacks the penultimate corner, carries so much speed, opens the DRS as well, gets within range of that Toro Rosso, closes in massively, hugely late on the brakes by comparison to TRL Limitless. Oh gosh, a bit of a tank slapper it looked like on that one, but he's so good in the traction zone coming out of turn 3, closes up once again on the Toro Rosso, later on the brakes as well too. That mechanical grip just allowing him to close right up behind, and it looks like JD is going to lose another position to another car on softer tires than him. And again, just so much to go in this race. Oh, JD turns in. Little bit of contact between himself and Surprise. He's now got the inside line for this right-hander. He tries the switchback. Does Surprise. He's going to be on the outside once again, and he's going to try another switchback, I think, to try and carry more speed than the Toro Rosso out of this corner. Bit of contact between Limitless and the barriers. He's got the inside line, late on the brakes. I think they locked wheels ever so slightly there. JD does come out behind in that one, and Surprise Me gains another position. And again, having to wrestle that car through that section, man, I actually haven't driven the new layout of Singapore before, but it does seem more difficult there in Sector 2, going on the other side of the bridge compared to the previous seasons. But Surprise up into 5th, and with just a 2-second gap to Matiz as well. I don't know if Matiz can catch Evo, but I want to say Surprise might be able to, actually. So we may even see the Mercedes driver challenge for a podium if he keeps up this sort of pace. He is really pushing. Ooh. Really pushing.
Yeah, it looked like he hit the wall there. But again, I think that's just a spectator thing. Okay. I think for us he's lagging quite a bit, but it doesn't seem that he's slowing down any sort. So yeah, I think Matiz is only just there up the road, less than 2 seconds now. So I do think Surprise, he can close up and pass Matiz, and then, well, it's going to be very, very close. He might catch Evo on the very last lap, but I'm incredibly surprised at his pace at the moment. No pun intended, but yeah, he's absolutely rapid. He started right at the back of the grid. He's getting 11 places from his starting position, and he's basically sniffing at a podium place.
Danny M7, the other Ultrasoft runner, of course, is now up behind Limitless, so it looks like it's going to be a 3rd position that Limitless is going to be losing here. And then he's got a big old gap to EBR Reynolds, so I don't think Limitless will slip any lower than 7th, but this is surely an inevitability for the Toro Rosso driver, as his teammate is closing up rapidly. I mean, he looks like he's barely driving the car, does Danny M7. He's just so smooth and effortless through the corners. JD's just sliding about and throwing the car at these corners full force. And here comes Danny, just nice and smooth up the inside, just completely without drama, no problems at all, up into P6. It'll be interesting to see if Danny, because right now, Matiz's best friend might be Danny M7, but yeah, I think Surprise is going to catch Matiz a lot faster than Danny is going to catch Surprise. But still, potentially, we could see some more battling between Surprise and Danny M7 with 6 laps, 6 laps still to go in this race. And of course, that would be a big help to Evo and Flying Finn as well, if they're at all worried about those Ultrasoft runners behind them.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the Limitless dropping back, that's a definite eye-opener that he might not have chosen the right strategy. It might have been better to do what Matiz did and just stretched his ultras and then gone on to supers, because he's on older and harder tyres, and the only reason he pit early was to, I guess, maintain track position, but it's seemingly not that difficult to overtake when you've got a huge tyre advantage around here. So yeah, well, it's hindsight's 20/20, isn't it? So that's something that he'll take on board for other future races, I guess. But I've got Evo at the moment, only 3/10 behind the Flying Finn. It seemed to be that sort of gap throughout the whole race, just less than a second. But it doesn't seem like he can get any way past him at the moment. Yeah, it's right behind him through this hairpin. Maybe he can get a good exit, attack Finn into this next right-hander. But again, I think Finn's just got a better exit than him, and it's yeah, just holding on to the back of him for another few corners.
Yeah, he's gonna know the back of that Mercedes quite well come the end of this race after watching it for nearly an hour. Tiamat Marduk in the chat.
Is past Matiz.
He's saying that he was actually surprised how many people ran the ultra soft strategy, as you were saying earlier. You were mentioning that league from yesterday as well. So yeah, it is surprising, especially when you see how successful this other strategy has worked out for Matiz. Although surprise may be proving that the best strategy really was soft ultra soft the other way around.
Maybe, yeah. So gap for surprise to Evo now, less than 6 seconds with 5 laps left to go. So it's possible gaining a second and a bit a lap, and maybe if Finn starts dropping off or Evo starts battling, maybe he can get closer. But I had a lot of lag there from my point of view. Looked like Surprise and Matiz both hit the wall there, but they both have no damage, so that must have just been a spectator thing. But Evo's still nailed to the back of the Flying Finn's gearbox. The gap is staying around 3 to 4 tenths, and I'm very surprised Evo hasn't just attempted a move or something, just had a look at the inside. Evo's fuel is 0.1 laps, and Finn's is 0.8, so Finn's really managed his fuel, and I think Finn can use Rich in some places that Evo can't, so he could. This is probably why Evo hasn't managed to get past. Finn can probably just bump up the fuel, and get a little bit more pace out of the car whenever he feels the need to. So
what nationality is Evo again?
He is German.
Yeah, 0.1. Yeah, that sounds like a very German number. So yeah, he's clearly managing his race exactly like a German would. And it's kept him, I mean, to his credit, it's kept him directly behind the back-to-back AOR Xbox champion. So, I mean, clearly it is working out for him, but it's just not allowing him to pull alongside in the corners. It's not allowing him to get by. It's not allowing him to attack Alonso. That's the real question. Maybe Evo has enough pace to actually be leading this race, but he just can't get by the Flying Finn.
Oh, Finn's run wide.
Very deep for the Flying Finn out of the first corner. That's going to put Evo directly behind him as they head down towards turn 5 now. This is going to be the most important corner of the entire race for Evo. He's tucked in beneath the gearbox of that Mercedes. DRS open now, picking up the slipstream. Which way is the Flying Finn going to go? You would expect him to defend to the left-hand side. Is he going to defend the inside of the corner? No, he doesn't even need to. I don't know if that's a difference in downforce levels, but Evo still, I mean, he was a car length behind Flying Finn as they came out of that corner and still couldn't pull alongside, even with the slipstream in the DRS.
Well, that might be a thing. He might not have any slipstream. It's a thing in this game that sometimes you lose slipstream when people leave the session, so that might be the case. That might be why he can't get anywhere near him. He might not have any slipstream, so yeah, he's got to hope for another mistake from Finn. That was very uncharacteristic from him, but I think putting him under all this pressure, eventually he's going to crack, I guess, and he's shown some chinks in the armour there, but if Evo can just hassle him a little bit more, maybe Finn can make that mistake and Evo can sniff an opportunity there. But looking at the gap to Surprise, it's come down about a second a lap. It's now 3.8, and I think it will be on the very last lap. If the pace keeps in these tyres for Surprise, he will catch them on the very final lap.
I would love to see that. I'd love to see him pass both of them, actually. That would be fantastic to watch, especially considering his starting position. That would be truly incredible. I mean, he's definitely not going to be pressuring Alonso as we start lap 28 now. Just 4 laps remain, including the one we're on for Evo and the Flying Finn. And he's a little bit further back than he was last time. He attacks that second corner and third corner as well. Can he get on the power coming out of the fourth corner? He's done fairly well. He's kept pretty close to the Flying Finn. He's not quite as close as he was last time, though, so I don't see how he could possibly make the overtake this time. Over 250 kph now, making their way through the very slight right-hander of turn 6, down towards the braking zone of turn 7, and once again, pretty decent sized gap between the two of them. I mean, a couple car lengths as by the time they got into the braking zone for turn 7 there. And I mean, he's only got so many. He's only got 3 more chances left, and he's already failed on 2 attempts where we would have thought he would have had a good chance. So my confidence in Evo being able to take second here is dwindling.
Yeah, I guess he can really hope for Finn getting some sort of penalty. I'm going to take a look at the race director just to check if Finn has any warnings or anything, but he doesn't have a single warning. So his hope of him getting any sort of time penalty due to corner cutting, that's not going to happen, really. Finn's never really been that sort of driver to get warnings, and well, he's going to have to do it on track somehow if he wants to get past. But yeah, it's been proving very difficult for him. His best opportunity is, of course, into turn 7, I believe it is, the left-hander at the end of the straight in sector 1. But of course, I don't think he's got any slipstream at the moment, so he's got no advantage in the straight line speed. So little mistake there out of the penultimate corner, and well, he's still in DRS at the moment, but he's lost a little bit of time.
And Surprise can actually just about see them. He's now got that carrot on the at the end of the stick effect for him, because he can actually see those 2 drivers just ahead of him. It's now about 3 seconds between Evo and Surprise at the start of lap 29. 2 more laps at the end of this one remaining in the Singapore Grand Prix, and he is pushing as hard as he possibly can. About 2 seconds now between Matiz and Danny M7. Matiz is actually surprisingly keeping up with Surprise pretty well. So if Surprise closes up on Evo, then we could see Matiz as well get involved here. Really, if Evo and Finn start battling, that's what's going to bring Surprise and Matiz and Danny all into that. Behind Danny, it is pretty spaced out. 8 seconds to Limitless, and a further 6 seconds to Reynolds, another 10 seconds to ESR Stone, and then 6, and then 4. So pretty big gaps behind 6. So it is really all about second down to 6. Oh, and that's a 3-second time penalty for Danny. That is really not what he needed. That might guarantee his 6th place finish.
I know it's a long race, this one, the longest of the calendar, but I really don't want it to end. I want a couple more laps just to see everyone bunch up, because everyone's sort of closing in on each other again, coming towards the end of this, with the guys behind Evo and Finn all having a little bit fresher and faster tyres. I really want there to be just a couple more laps to see what happens, but I think Surprise, 2-second gap now with 2 laps left. It's possible that he'll get there, but yeah, I mean, it's proven difficult for Evo to make any sort of overtakes. So, well, maybe the tyre advantage that Surprise has got will help him, but yeah, if it was just a couple more laps, that would be really, really interesting then. Hopefully Surprise can close up though.
Yeah, the tire advantage is going to be dwindling faster because, of course, less % of the soft tires come out per lap compared to the ultra softs, of course. So as each lap goes by, he is going to be less and less quick compared to the 2 cars ahead of him, who are very close once again. But once again, Evo just not able to do anything, just following directly behind the Flying Finn into the braking zone for turn 7. He does carry a little bit more speed through turn 8 there. He is looking more comfortable through the corners. It's incredible to me that Evo hasn't destroyed his tires just because of all the dirty air. But again, you said, so if there's a broken slipstream effect that can happen, does that mean it's also breaking the tire wear that he would get from dirty air as well, potentially?
It's possible. I don't think anyone's ever tested it or anything like that, but it is very possible, isn't it? So yeah, maybe that's what sort of kept him close as well as the DRS, but he still cannot get past. He just seems to be about a car length or 2 behind, and it's still not enough to get past. So I don't see what else he can do other than poke his nose up the inside and hope Finn, I guess, leaves space and gives away or something. But surely it's the last lap. Just give it a go. See what happens.
Exactly. I mean, he does have to worry about Surprise, but less so than before. That gap is kind of stabilized now at 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Really hasn't changed in the last lap, so I don't think Surprise is going to be as much of a threat as we were hoping he would be. But Evo, I mean, this is his last attempt. White flag as they went by this last time. Final lap of this Singapore Grand Prix. I'm sure every single one of these guys is absolutely drenched in sweat. You probably wouldn't want to give any of these guys a pat on the back at the moment, because you probably need to wash your hand afterwards. But Evo actually seems further back on this occasion than he has been on previous laps. Surprise Me is about the same distance. In fact, I think he's lost a tenth through the last sector there. Matiz as well kind of fell off the back of Surprise Me. Danny M7 though still just about within range. So yeah, I think really Danny and Evo are going to be the ones to watch at the moment. But of course, that battle between Finn and Evo, that is the real one, because again, you know, two-time champion defending that position on the final lap of this race. I think we're going to want to see what happens here. But as you and I both predicted earlier, it's looking like no mistakes at all for the Flying Finn.
Yeah, and even more so, Alonso, who's going to come and win this race, you'd assume. He's pulled the gap out to 4 seconds now. It was 2.5 a couple of laps ago. So I think whether that's Finn defending or Alonso just stretching his legs a little bit, now he's
showing him what he's got.
Yeah, like Vettel used to do at the end of the races. But anyway, Alonso's going to come around the final corner, and he's going to take his first win of the season, I believe. And yeah, a little bit of a weave across the line there. All the fireworks come out. It's very nice. And well, 2 tenths between Evo and Finn as they cross the line there. And Danny has not been able to close up to Matiz. Limitless is going to come home in P7, which is pretty disappointing for him, as he was right on the back of Evo and Finn at one point in the earlier stages of the race. Reynolds crosses the line in 8th, but he has a multitude of penalties, so he may not finish there, although Stone is 15 seconds behind, so it's likely Reynolds will stay there.
Yep, it's looking that way so far. And yeah, you are correct. That is Alonso's first win of the season. 4th time on the podium. He's gotten a 3rd and 2 seconds previously. But yeah, first win of season 14 for Alonso, and he did it really. I mean, it was no problems for him. I mean, it was a very similar race to Monza, actually, in that we had a Saltunk at the front just running off with it, although it was a smaller gap. So cheers to Alonso for at least, you know, keeping us a bit more on our toes by comparison to Finn's performance last time out in Italy. There was no question about how that race was going to end. So, yeah, definitely happy with that slightly smaller gap up at the front. But fantastic race from all of the drivers. And yeah, first win for Alonso. So big congratulations to him. That should move him ahead. Yeah, that is going to move him ahead of Jason in the standings, and that's unfortunate for Jason, because Jason just overtook him in the standings last time out at Monza. So Jason briefly taking 6th in the points, but unfortunately he is now going to drop back down into 7th as Alonso moves into 6th. Surprise, who was in 5th, looks like he's actually going to stay in 5th, because he had a 26-point gap ahead and a 13-point gap behind. So there are your podium finishers. Alonso grabs the win by, well, it was 4 seconds. Let's be honest, the gap was 4 seconds at the end between Alonso and the Flying Finn. NLR Evo grabs the final podium position. Surprised me just off the rostrum. Couldn't quite make it in the end with that aggressive, soft, ultra soft strategy. But I got to say, surprised me. Driver of the day for me. Where did he start again? 16th? Yeah, he started 16th right at the back. He drove 16th to 4th. Driver of the day for me.
I'd have to agree with that. I mean, Alonso is a good shout there. He dominated the entire race, but I think, well, from my point of view, it's more impressive starting at the back and then overtaking 12 guys and getting to the front. But yeah, I'd agree with Surprise. We've got a couple of guys in the chat saying Surprise as well. Some saying Alonso, but yeah, either of those two I think had really solid results today.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really enjoyed that one, and I'm really glad it stayed dry. I think we jinxed it by talking about the moisture possibilities at the beginning of the race. So I think we did good there for a nice dry race. It may have been more exciting at the front if there had been some moisture in the air, but I think even the viewers would have been frustrated once we started getting into the hour-and-a-half long distance. So yeah, good to see it dry. Good race for second, and yeah, like I said, you know, not a huge gap at the front too. So you know, that kind of allowed us to be optimistic throughout the race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can get any people in for interviews. Normally we do get Flying Finn in at the end of every race.
PC's got 4 people to interview. We got nobody. Like, come on. Come on, Xbox drivers. This is disappointing, guys. Disappointing. I want to see more Xbox people. Maybe PC did finish a little bit before us, though, so... but hopefully we'll get somebody in here. But yeah, it was a good race. It's not really going to do much for the championship. The Flying Finn continues to lead, of course. It was a 91-point gap heading into the race, and the only person that beat him was his brother, who is now 6th in the standings. So he is going to extend his gap to Matiz and Limitless and Evo, so it's going to be even bigger. This is round 14 out of 20, but we still have to run round 7. So after this race, there is 7 to go. 7 races still to go, and I think it's actually going to be something like 100-point gap at this point between Finn and Matiz. So the Seiyariu and I actually worked it out earlier that Flying Finn would have to finish in 4th every race, and Matiz would have to win every race from here on out in order to seal up the championship. Oh, and there we go. You didn't get the win this time, but at least your brother did.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty happy for him, and he should be joining soon. So if he does join, you guys can take the question to him straight away. But yeah, my race, I just didn't have full sweep back, to be honest, man. Yeah, it broke before the race, and the best I can do is just do a good job in qualifying. And I said to him, if I start like front row, like 1st and 2nd, either order, I'll back him up, because in the race I just couldn't keep up. And yeah, I was just lucky to start ahead of the other guys, to be honest. That's all I can say.
Were you were you looking in your mirrors? Were you really having to defend from Evo, or were you just laser focused on like hitting all your apexes, like Mika Hakkinen style? You forget everybody else, you're just focusing on the next corner? Or, I mean, were you worried about the threat from behind?
Yes. But yeah, I had to be honest, because I think it helped me focus more, to be honest, because like I was just trying to focus on not pretty much binning it going to the wall. That's all I was focusing on, and
right,
I kept on doing the technique where you just go slow in, fast out. So yeah, when I did that, I was guaranteed a good exit, which I was running low wings anyway, so if I just got a good exit, it would have been fine. And yeah, I'm just glad to at least like get points from that race, because it didn't look like I was going to take part, so I'll take that.
Yeah, it sounded like there was a bit of a worry. So actually, to clear that up a little, so was your force feedback working in the race?
No, there was nothing.
Oh, okay. So the wheel was working, just no force feedback.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In qualifying, I had it in the first run because I quickly did a motor calibration. I had it on my out lap and then my first flying lap, but from there on I had nothing. So to improve at the end, it was just a surprise.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, it was good watching you and Cedric. We were pretty much keeping our eyes on you guys. Were you worried at all about the ultra soft runners at the end there? I don't know if you saw Surprise Me running on the ultra softs. He was kind of closing up on you guys at the end, but then it kind of died. His charge kind of died towards the later stages. Did you see him putting in those fast laps and stuff?
Yeah, we were in the same party chat. Me, Sonich, and Surprise. And yeah, normally we speak, but it's Singapore, and I don't know if we'll see back, so I was never going to speak. The only thing I said was literally, as soon as we came out the pits and I realized JD and Evo's on softs as well, I said, this is it. I'm keeping them behind for you. Like, we'll be fine. And yeah, that's all I was focusing on. But yeah, I saw Matiz on the super softs put in really good laps, and I thought he'd catch up, but I think his tires just dropped off.
Yeah, the super softs and ultra softs, those runners were getting close to you guys for sure, but yeah, it really started to die off around like 28, 29. They weren't really charging quite as fast as they were at the beginning of the stint. But yeah, it was really fun to watch. I mean, everyone was saying either your brother or Surprise Me for driver of the day. I mean, your brother really controlled stuff at the front. You know, looked nice and easy for him. No real side-by-side moments. I mean, he held the lead pretty much the entire time. No issues for him. The one sad part is, though, he was hardly ever on the stream.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be too fussed about that, to be honest. He's really, really happy about this win, and I'm glad for him, to be honest. Like, if it was one track that I'm going to have a problem like this, and yeah, I'm just happy for him, so I'll leave you guys to him.
Yeah, congratulations on your win, sir. First of season 14. How did it feel?
Oh, it feels great. Oh, it's a long time coming. It's been pretty long time. But, like, Russia, I should have won that, but because of my stupid penalties, I lost out the win to Matthias by ridiculous amount. Like, it was 0.001, something like that. Yeah, after that, I just lost motivation from esports and all the races I had in AOR, which had bad luck.
Why are you depressed, man? Be happy. Come on, you just won.
But yeah, after winning this race, like, my favourite track, so I had to do it. It was a shame that Sully's wheel was broken, but
No, you were the one anyway. Don't worry, you were the one.
So the question we had was, were you, because there were times where the gap would extend to something like 4 seconds, something like that, and then it would come back down to about 2.5, but they never really got within 2 seconds of you. Were you just managing tires, keeping them within arm's length? Did you have more pace in you?
For me, I was just maximizing everything, to be honest, because like coming out the corners, I couldn't do like a power slide coming out, so I couldn't push that much, but like I'd just wait for the wheel to like straighten up before pushing, and that's the maximum I could have done. Sonich, I think he made a few mistakes at some point, so that's probably why the gap dropped.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we thought you might have been managing tires.
I was losing time from my room being really hot, like especially around track like this where you shouldn't be making mistakes. But yeah, my room was really hot. Actually, I had to call my brother so he can look in the window, but he didn't hear me. Yeah, from that, at the end, I think I got my second warning, and then from then onwards, I was like, I clicked on. I need to focus more. I don't care if my room's hot or not. I'm not getting a penalty.
Well, yeah, clean race from both of you, as we come to expect. I mean, we were saying when Cedric was following you, Finn, we were saying if he's waiting for Finn to make a mistake, he's going to be waiting a while, because yeah, he never really pressured you too hard. I mean, he got pretty close behind at times, but he never could pull alongside at the end of the DRS straight.
Yeah, I think he was just running higher wings and just didn't want to risk anything, to be honest. But that guy is he's a machine. He's really quick, he's consistent as well, and I believe if he did get past me at some point, he could have possibly challenged for the win. So
yeah, that's what we were saying.
Yeah, all I can say to him is GG, and he's had his wins this season, so he can just let Sonich have this one.
There you go. All right, well, I think that's it from me. Anything else to add, Seiyariu?
I think the only question I've got for Finn, with your wheel, is that anything that is any sort of quick fix, or are you going to have to deal with this for the rest of the season, or what's happening?
Well, just Sonich had this problem before twice, and he sent his wheel back, and I think he managed to get it within a week. So my plan is just to send it tomorrow. I'll miss STS and ULC, but yeah, I'll send it and hope to get it back by Friday or Saturday.
Well, if you don't make the next race, I don't think it's going to be a problem. You've got a 100-point or something gap in the championship. It's not going to matter.
I just want to score points, man. I've kept that streak ever since the start. Ever since I've done AOR, I've scored points in a race and just want to keep that going. But yeah, I mean, it's not a favorite track of mine, Malaysia. It's one of my weak ones, and I know Justin's probably fuming hearing that. But yeah. I just hope I race. That's all I want. Just race.
Yeah, we hope that you're there as well. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for Finn Alonso joining us in the commentary booth after the race. Thank you to Justin for commentating alongside me.
Well, my pleasure as always.
And we'll see all of you guys next time out in Malaysia. So we'll see you then. Bye bye.